I'm going to take a shortcut, not quite all protocol observed, but I don't want to list the whole long list. So please regard yourself as welcomed. Honourable Minister, Honourable Deputy Minister, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors, the Director General, CEOs of our sponsors, CEOs and heads of organizations and companies, and all other dignitaries and finalists, please regard you all of you as being welcome and addressed. The NSTF recognizes the following young people every year: at least 18 first-year students in the sciences, medicine, and engineering. They were outstanding achievers in maths and physical science in the National Senior Certificate, grade 12, in the previous year. So in this case, it is 2017. And they have achieved more than 90% for both those subjects. At least one young man and woman were selected from each of the 9 provinces, and those are the top ones. It's sometimes quite a close call, so we had a tie in 2 provinces, and for that reason we have 20 brilliant students this year. The Brilliance Program aims to recognize top achievers, of course, and sometimes we find that they hadn't been given due recognition before, as well as to encourage them to continue with their courses of study and to go on to postgraduate study and careers in the sciences, engineering, and medical research. The program includes the following activities. You saw images of the tour. Besides that, hosting them at this awards gala dinner. This is sponsored by the Carl and Emily Fuchs Foundation, and SACNASP has also contributed to the Brilliance Program this year. We thank them for that. Then we also have a motivational speakers program. That is what our MC was referring to. It is basically interaction with the students for more than a morning. And we want to thank the inspiring speakers, all of whom took the time to address and interact with the students this morning. Furthermore, we give assistance in accessing bursaries. The Minister has kindly granted funding for bursaries to students who do not have full bursaries or scholarships. Those have been preliminarily allocated, but we haven't yet actually broken the news to the students, so there's a surprise waiting for them. We're most grateful to DST for that support. It is surprising, but even brilliant students like these often find themselves in a situation where they have to take loans, or their parents, of course. Their parents take loans in order to make it possible for them to study. And we just think that's wrong. It's, for such talented students, they should be given full study support. Furthermore, they've been given a copy of Mike Bruton's book, Professor Mike Bruton, on South African inventions, and the tour, and I think I'm not going to go through the tour because you basically saw those. I just want to say that the aims of the tour are to expose the students to possible careers, research areas, and applications of science that they may not have encountered before. And secondly, it's team building and enjoyment, and it's a reward for having achieved so well. But we also like the students to get to know one another and to be possibly a support group in future, support structure. Right, I would then like to call on some of the students to come and address the audience. First of all, Rafilwe, are you ready to come and talk?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It is an honor to be here today, but mostly it's an honor to come here and address you. I am an 18-year-old girl who was born in a rural village called Magwane in the Free State. I started school there in 2006 and matriculated at the very same place and at Ranzane Secondary School in the year 2017. I am from a family of 3 children and the youngest. I stayed together with my family, both my parents as well as my siblings, until I left for Wits University. It was not... It was not an easy journey that I took out of Magwane to the big city, because even though I had a dream like any other teenagers, there was a bigger picture of it at the back of my mind. I had to make sure that I do that despite whatever challenges I faced. And to be honest with you, there were lots of those challenges. But I did go through with the help of other people who were around me. If I take all the credit, I would not be fair, because the Free State Department of Education was behind it. Thabo Mofokeng district was behind it. Most importantly, my school principal and the school teachers, as well as my friends, were behind it, not forgetting the organizations such as Kutlwanong Center for Maths, Science and Technology, as well as Siandisa Foundation. That is how I got to study medicine at Wits. Even though I lived most of my years up to date in a small bubble world of Magwane, I admire and value the place because I learned a lot from it. I was taught respect, to have patience, to love and to support, not only by my parents, but everyone I grew up around. I was groomed with leadership skills at an early age, and this developed my personality in a way. This resulted into a mature and strong woman I'm growing up to become. I wanted to be a CEO of some big company at some early stages of my life because of one of my favorite actresses who acted as a CEO, to an extent that I would even imitate what she did. Cindy Dlatu is the actress. She was this bold, strong, intelligent, and fearless woman who led a life I wanted to live, but not a career I wanted to follow. By then, I had no idea. One day, I got sick at school and was referred to the community clinic. When I got there, there were so many people waiting in long queues. Children, teenagers my age who were supposed to be helped and referred back to class as soon as possible, and elders who were supposed to be helped as fast as possible so that they can go and rest. That was not... The thing is, people there on duty were doing their job, but there were just not enough of them. I then thought that if I'm not the only one to help my community, there's no one else who will. If I'm not the one to bring change in my community, no one else will. It all started there, my dream of becoming a medical doctor. As I grew up and as life exposed me to different things, it all made perfect sense. I realized that I was actually born to serve, and as a medical doctor, I will be serving. To cut a long story short, I chose this career all because of the love of people. If I could say I'm doing this only for myself, I would be lying. Even if I could say I just woke up someday and decided to study medicine, it would be a lie as well. One more thing is, I would like to see lots of improvement in South Africa's health systems, and I can't wish for that just watching other people working. I also have to help in whatever way I can. That is my story. Thank you.
There is enormous hope for our country, don't you think? Thank you very much, Rafiwe. Next, I'm calling on my namesake, Yancy. It's a very rare name, I can tell you. And here she is.
I'm Yancy Slabbert, and I'm currently studying medicine at the University of Stellenbosch. I'm one of 4 children, and I grew up in a family where everyone supported and cared for one another. I was privileged enough to grow up with the idea that I can aspire to be anything that I wanted to be. I never felt pressure to do or become something that I didn't want to. I think because of the way I grew up, it caused me to have a wide variety of interests. Initially, as a scholar, I didn't know what I wanted to study. It was only when I reached grade 12 that I realized that I wanted to study medicine. However, there were certain factors that contributed to my decision. When I was in grade 8, my parents took a sabbatical for 6 months. In that time, they homeschooled us, and for the last 3 months, we traveled through Africa. We visited quite a few countries, such as Zimbabwe, Zambia, Malawi, Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. While traveling, we spent some time at a few missionaries and met some of the local people from those countries. It opened my eyes because those people have far less than what I have, but still they have something to be thankful for each day. After that tour, something in me just wanted to help those people and give back to them, almost as a way of saying thank you for what they gave me, a thankful heart. I love solving problems and finding ways to improve things, but I also have an interest in the human body and how it works. This always led me to believe that there should be better treatment for certain types of diseases, and that even people without the necessary financial means should also have access to the same healthcare that I have. I'm always imagining certain scenarios in my head, trying to determine how can I change the outcome to the better, or for the better, or improve the process. Finally, one of the main reasons why I decided to study medicine is because of the new people that you meet and whom you can help on a more personal level than just prescribing medication. I love helping people, and it gives me great joy when I realize that I truly made a difference in someone else's life, whether it's something small like just relieving their back pain, or something big like helping them to see again. I truly want to reach out to those in need and find a way to make their lives better. I would like to make use of this opportunity to thank the NSTF and the SKA for the chance to go on this tour. Thank you for motivating us to follow our dreams and to rise above our challenges. Tonight, I can truly say that I am very excited for what the future may hold. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yancy. Next up is Erin. Just introduce yourself with your surname as well. Sorry, I forgot.
Hi, I'm Erin Solomon from Cape Town. Now, I think a sentiment that many before me and many after me will continue to echo is that I am so sincerely honored to be speaking at such an auspicious event, at this beacon, I believe, of scientific advancement in Southern Africa, and to you, an audience composed of the most esteemed and preeminent voices in the scientific fields. For me personally, tonight I wish to tell you a bit more about my experience growing up when it comes to thought and how I've approached studies, academics, and I guess tertiary studies particularly, and less so of my own personal biography. So, looking back, I would have liked to classify myself as an eternal scholar, one whose learning is never complete. I believe that to an eternal scholar, the entire universe is the subject of one's studies, from the nanoscopic and arcane world of the atom through to the seemingly boundless expanses of the greater cosmos. Everything in between, every iota of matter that makes up our physical existence, every cell that holds the secrets to life, and every particle of energy that animates our dynamic existence. All of this is the subject matter to an eternal scholar. And I aspire, and I would hope that, like many of you, in one way or another, to be an eternal scholar. So, as an eternal scholar, I found and still find myself continually driven to discover the world around me. I thus found myself to be very, very academic at heart, especially when it came to schooling, when it could be described by many words: analyst, thinker, scientist, debater, one who yearns to understand. In schooling, all of my subjects, but particularly maths and physics, acted as portals of discovery in which I could dive in pursuit of a greater world understanding. I found great interest in the clean, elegant, and seemingly technically precise way in which maths and physics unveiled the apparent coding of the universe. This interest in maths and physics I still have. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, however, I also see myself as an artist, as a designer, an innovator, one who yearns to create. And so throughout my school life, I was heavily involved in the visual arts, dramatic arts, and most pertinently now, music. These two seemingly opposing dimensions of my character came together in my choice of career and tertiary study. I aspire to become an architect. Architecture, as I see it, is one of the true intersections, Venn overlaps, if you will, of the arts and the sciences. It is indeed a science involving great technical proficiency, detailed analytical evaluative skills, and precise physics-based thinking. However, it, as an art form, correspondingly is too predicated upon the pursuit of creativity, innovation in design. As such, architecture lies perfectly in the balance of my seemingly difaceted personality. So, to end off, I would like to briefly link, in my view, all of you here and the work done by the NSTF and the Department of Science and Technology as a whole to my seemingly distant field of architecture, which almost balances on the precipice edge of the sciences. Architecture, as what I view as one of the most eminent forms of problem solving. As architects, we have to consider a myriad of factors when designing a space or building. The desired function or functions of a space. How are we going to position the relationships between these spaces? Then, of course, thank you, there's the aesthetic form of the space or building, the style, the atmosphere, the lighting, the texture, the color scheme. All of that still ignores the integration of all of the above into the context of the building or space. Slope, sunlight, climate, and of course the relationship to the surrounding built environment. Then, of course, there are the pertinent issues that we as society face that architects have to tackle. Trying to design more eco-friendly and sustainable buildings and cities, trying to design low-cost and low-resource determined infrastructure and housing, dealing with smaller and smaller spaces to house people in overcrowded cities, as well as trying to streamline the means of communication and transport within our new, ever-growing megacities. All these factors, amongst a whole host of others, need to be carefully calibrated like the pieces of an intricate puzzle. So, although not the conventional idea of problem solving we often associate in a theoretical sense with maths and physics, I see it as a problem solving of its unique own right. Thus, unlike my colleagues up here studying medicine, all manner of engineering and astrophysics, to name a few, I may not be able to find the cure to the HIV virus, or further explore the quantum world, or discover what mysteries and happenings occurred at the origins of our universe. But I and all my fellow architects humbly set out to design our lived experience, to sculpt our built environment, and to carefully orchestrate the most efficient, ergonomic, and as we progress into the future, sustainable human civilization in which greater society lives and works, and in which all of you conduct your pioneering scientific discovery and advancement beyond the current frontier of human understanding. Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed, Aaron. It's not fair, hey? He's good at maths, he's good at physical science, he's going to be good at architecture, and he's got the gift of the gab as well. Then, last but not least, is another remarkable young person, and that is Keith.
Good evening. Thank you for the bold and beautiful introduction. Let me take this wonderful opportunity with pride to extend my deepest gratitude to the program director, Her Excellency, the Minister of Science and Technology, Ms. Mawokolo Kubai-Ngubane, representatives from all different universities, all ambassadors present, fellow brilliants, distinguished guests, as well as you all, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. Let me acknowledge that it gives me great pleasure speaking here today, not to just ordinary people, but to the greatest in the world. My name is Frantete Chinganga Keith, and I'm original from Limpopo. I'm 1 in 3 in the family. I started my academics at Petamkanda Primary School, from where I advanced to Jonathan Tifuferi Secondary School, where I matriculated last year with all flying colors. The two schools both had inadequate resources, but I did not let their circumstances or any other functions of the earth to determine my pathway towards my destiny. Growing up in that far-reached village of Madombija, which is found a few miles away from Loistergat, also known as Makado in Limpopo, I wondered what my purposes were in life, my core values, my life goals, and my dreams. And this required an intensive understanding of myself, and as a result, I couldn't answer that right away. What I can tell from my academic experiences is that most terminologies are defined in terms of other terminologies that precede them. In other words, the future of a medium of communication depends on the languages surrounding us today. But let me say today without doubt that we are not defined by our surrounding and its history as opposed to languages. And so is our future, and so is our life goals, and so is our dreams, and so is our core values, and so is my purposes. And that's the reason I'm standing here today. I certainly did not let my surrounding to send constraints on how far I could go in life, and this precisely explains why we are all here today. I knew that my destiny is defined by how I define myself. The most interesting question, though, is what defines ourselves? And the answer is very simple. We define ourselves by navigating through ourselves, and the best way to do that is through education, and that became a core value. The reason why education is a right to everyone living today is so that they can get to discover themselves, their interests, their talents, their strengths, as quickly as possible. The year we are born corresponds to the time we will have to play our fractional role in this world. Yes, there is always tomorrow, but a specific tomorrow for each day. And yes, there is always a future, but a specific future for each day. The life we are living today was once the future of the last generation. And it is very rare for each generation to enjoy its future because it incorporates many years of realization of our roles in this world, and this also leads to some adverse situations along the way in this world, and this can be dealt with easily after that future is attained. But through education, we don't have to take many years to realize ourselves. We don't have to take many years to work on our future. It doesn't have to take the death of many children for an alternative medication to be produced. It doesn't have to take a world war for inventions to be discovered. Let me tell you that instead, it has to take bloodless years of education. Today is not about making a solemn obligation about the future, but it is about getting into work towards the future. I'm recently studying a BSc in astrophysics at the University of Cape Town. Astrophysics is a field of emphasis which is a branch of astronomy concerned with the physical nature of stars and other celestial bodies and the application of the laws and theories of physics to the interpretation of astronomical observations. It was not by mistake nor by force that I chose astrophysics as my field of interest, but it is the only way that I can quench my thirst for the understanding of the nature of this world. It is the only way that I can get to participate in bringing about solutions to some of the recent scientific mysteries. It is the only way that I can make my parents proud, and once more, it is the only way that I can make this nation proud, because I believe that my dream is also the dream of this nation. My success is also the success of this nation. I always say to my friends, it is apparent today that the long walk to freedom has been accomplished, and it still continues through its reinforcements, and the right hand has been raised as a representation of it, and that represented Nelson Mandela. Now it is the time to raise the left hand and work towards the long walk to success for this country, and I raise it today. This is the reason why Nelson Mandela said the long walk still continues. He left the left hand for us to raise in order to complete the long walk. I have agreed that tomorrow we make a history that will not be reflected later on as the Holocaust of the century, nor the massacre, but as the greatest milestone that will have marked a positive transition in the history of South Africa, and it is through education that this could be made possible. This, therefore, is my dream for the nation, the one I will and I can turn through and eventually raise the left hand and say the long walk to success has been accomplished. As I come to my inference, I would like to convey my feelings on the Brilliance Tour. The Brilliance Tour really gave me the chance to visit some of the most confidential, sacred places I've never been before. I also got the chance to visit some of the most privileged places like Salt in Sutherland, which made me feel blessed and ignited a motivation that I should continue working at. To all the Brilliance Tour leaders, NSTF, government, and South 32, I say I appreciate everything they've done for us. I thank you.
Yes, indeed. I think the success of our young people is the success of the nation. And one gets so hopeful in interaction with these lovely young people. I wish you all continued success. And thank you for the way in which you've participated in this program and on the tour and this morning. And we really feel privileged to host you as well. Okay.